Hey guys, and welcome to episode 6, I think it is, of... Is it episode 6?
It is definitely not episode 6.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 11. I hope everybody's been well. Chaoski, how you doing?
No way is it 11. Very well, thank you. By the way, we've done 4 episodes, so this is episode 5.
See, I had a folder for episode 5, and I just assumed that this was episode 6, but I obviously made a folder, and we didn't use it, because we've been busy. So it's been a couple of weeks since the last episode, because I've had the early access event last week, and I had to get a bunch of videos out very, very quickly, and then we've had Core Set pre-release in paper. So it's just a lot of stuff been going on. But we're back.
It was a bad time to take a week off, wasn't it?
I mean, look, I didn't really have a choice. I only had a week for those specific things, and we got them done. So we're back.
There's some spice. That's for certain.
Well, yeah, about 10 minutes ago, before recording this, the banned and restricted announcement has come out from Wizards of the Coast.
Ooh, the much anticipated Will Hogak survive?
And it looks like Hogak has survived, but in a form. So they have actually banned Bridge from Below. So this was the culprit. This is an unfair card. It really didn't ask a lot of the deck. You just put it in your deck, it ends up in the graveyard, and off you go. I think this is going to be pretty good in terms of keeping the deck in check without having to hurt either Altar of Dementia or Hogak, which are the new cards from Modern Horizons, which is kind of nice because if you did invest in those, you'd feel real bad about losing those.
You don't want to hurt the set that you've just brought out and created a ridiculous amount of hype for.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think this is probably the best way that they could have gone about it without actually completely destroying the deck or destroying the new cards for that archetype. You can probably, I wouldn't take my Graveyard Hate out of my sideboard yet. I would still be running that just to sort of see where we end up. I still think the deck's going to be decent. It'll be a force to be reckoned with. It just won't be as everywhere as it has been. So I think that's a good thing.
It lets people diversify their sideboards a hell of a lot more. So they're not playing 4 Grafdigger's Cage, 4 Relic of Progenitus. Yeah. If they're in black, as many Leyline of the Voids as they can.
Oh, yeah.
Like people were starting to mainboard this stuff because it was just so common.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like sideboards where, 8 to 10 cards were just Graveyard Hate, and we haven't seen anything like that, since the Eldrazi took over. So, all in all, I think this is probably a good change. I'm kind of excited now to see where the format goes, because I know a lot of people who are keen and, are into Modern and wanted to play, but they weren't exactly sure what they were going to do because of this Hogak deck and whether it was going to be a fun place that they could actually play Magic. So, yeah, I think this is good.
Yeah, they had two set releases, and while a lot of different decks were starting to pop up, this Hogak deck was just all anybody was talking about. It was I've talked before about you need some artifact hate so you can fight Affinity. This was like you need some graveyard hate so you can fight Hogak.
Yeah, and all those scary decks that had existed in the past, they all kind of dropped off. Like it was just Hogak, Blue-White Control, and Phoenix. So yeah, keep your graveyard deck around. Keep your graveyard hate around because Hogak's still here and Phoenix is still here. So you're gonna find a place for it. But now you can probably play a bit more fair Magic, I guess, which is a good thing going forward.
As a Merfolk player, I thoroughly rejoice in the ability to play fair being restored.
Yeah, definitely those sort of decks more than anything. I think very happy to do that
because it's not like the deck doesn't exist anymore. You could probably still play a dredge deck with Hogak that
I think it's gonna be very
Altar
good.
of Dementia. You can absolutely still do that. It's just now you're not making the game unfun for your opponent while you're doing it. You're thinking a little bit more. You're not just going out buying 4 copies of Bridge from Below, sticking them in your deck and being like, oh, they're in the bed now. Guess I win.
Yeah. So look, the deck will still play out similarly, I think. They'll be able to get those Hogaks out early, but they won't be able to sack them to generate the advantage they did with all those tokens coming into play. So now it's going to be a real consideration on whether you actually want to run the Altar in the deck, or whether it's more of a fairer, unfair deck. So yeah, super interested to see where we go, like how the format pans out with this change.
There's also a little bit of disappointment that there's no unbans.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
It is what it is. We've screamed about cards getting unbanned before, but we'll see where the format goes, and then in a few months reassess because it's been Hogak. So we haven't had a chance to go. What if Twin? What if Deathrite Shaman?
We haven't had enough time of a real format with Modern Horizons in it. That's fair. That'd be cool if we did. Like we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. So everybody knows our position on it, I guess. But let's see where we end up.
Yeah.
On to more standard things. Rena had an update about a week ago for Core 2020. So they added all the cards in right after the early access event that I participated in. So it was a bit of a rush to get the videos out, I have to admit. Like, we had 24 hours to play with the new cards and try to upload as much content as we could before everybody got their hands on it. But yeah, they've added a whole lot of changes to the client with this new update.
Yeah, they added a mastery pass, I think they called it, and a mastery tree, and it all looks a lot flashier and like different ways for you to unlock various rewards and things and card styles that at the moment people probably don't care too much about, but they're pushing the core set, so it's fine. You get Omnath, which is that's the main one I'm gunning for.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool ones. I'm actually building mine towards the planet cleansing first. But yeah, the way it's laid out is pretty sweet. So there's multiple levels. You rank up every day by playing your daily or doing your daily quests and getting your daily wins. It goes all the way up to 100 ranks. Maybe a little too many ranks. I'm not 100% sure how it's actually going to pan out, because there is a daily limit to how many ranks you can get as well. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But again, this is their first implication of this. So, benefit of the doubt, I imagine they're going to figure out how to do it properly. These things aren't exactly new to online games. So they've got a lot of, there's a lot of history.
It's definitely the new post loot box fad. I think a lot of games are implementing this kind of a system to get some money and implement some rewards for people. I think it's a hell of a lot better than just constant random rewards all the time. And card packs are kind of a random a random reward. And there was a lot of debate about, is a card pack that different to a loot box?
Yeah, I heard about that.
But that's a big can of worms, and we'll just
I think we'll just leave that one for now. But it adds a lot of variety, right?
You said it was 100 levels, and there isn't too much of a variance on the rewards. So I think it's gems, gold, pips for the mastery tree, a cute little cat, and
cat's cool.
Various cards and card packs and everything. And as they expand and develop the system more, they'll definitely add to that and maybe condense down how many levels there are available. And
yeah, for sure, and add different ways to earn experience as well, so sort of to accelerate you through the season as well would be nice. So there's a lot of room to grow with this.
Where they take it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like, I've bought into the paid version of it. So if you did see before, there was actually 2 trees that you could of mastery. As you can sort of see here. And so the bottom tree is the paid tree, which cost, I believe it was like 3,400 gems. And it just gives you additional rewards. The top tree is the free tree that everybody gets. So you get the mastery orbs and the packs, but just at a slower rate. I'm keen for to see where this ends up. I know there's a lot they can do with it, and it doesn't really feel like a quick cash grab, because the rewards, at least from what I can see, definitely do seem worth it. So
it's 100% worth the money, and it's a very long-term reward system. And I hadn't played much or any arena just before Core 2020 came out, and it got me back in, and the amount of card packs that I saw that were available and everything to get back into it and keep going, and encouraging me to try out some different things, and is it's done its job, I guess. For me.
I think it's good. They've just got to handle it properly. As long as the rewards are obtainable within the month, I think it's good. Like, my main concern is just that there is a cap on the XP you can earn daily at the moment. Now, I mean, I'm not a designer of these sort of systems in any way, but it kind of seems counterintuitive to me to stop people from playing your game. If you put a system like this in place and somebody wants to sit there for 8 hours and just grind it out, I don't think you should stop them. I can see that being maybe one of the deterrents, is that getting rewarded to not play a game, or not getting rewarded for the time you put in, kind of feels bad, because I have heard a few people say, well, I've done my 3 wins for the day, there's no point me playing arena today anymore. So that's the only thing I've got a little bit of worries about, but we'll see where they go moving forward with this. Hopefully they can address that as well.
Something I haven't heard too many people talk too much about is that there are people who can get a little bit too addicted to systems like this. So I'm not completely against the idea of putting a cap on a person's ability to play a game to prevent them from going too far.
I get that. I feel like you need to be responsible for your own time, though, right? Like, just because something's available, it's on you to not abuse it. Because then if we do it this way with the cap, we're now punishing people who may, work different hours and not be able to get on every day, and they're going to feel like they're falling behind, and maybe now it's not worth it for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. It is very easy to get addicted, especially to loot box style systems and incremental rewards and whatever. But I kind of feel like that's on the individual to, sort of police themselves.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
It's a touchy subject, which is probably why it doesn't get talked about too much. But
You could
I
go
just thought I'd
super
throw
deep
it
into
out
it.
there as
Yeah, no,
possible
it's
reasoning.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting thing because it is, video game addiction and things like that is definitely something that's become a bit more. Wow, this is a direction I didn't think we were going to go in today, but it's something that's really, really like come to light more recently now. I think a lot of more people are sort of talking about it, and it is getting recognized as an actual disorder and things like that more recently, at least, than what it has in the past. Because I've seen games take over people's lives before, and I mean, yeah, it's if this is the case, like I guess that's it's a valid reason for having something. If they came out and said that was why, I'd go, okay, fair enough. That's I still think the individual is responsible for it, but I understand where that's coming from. It could just be something completely different, and we're looking far too deep into it. But I
So
don't.
Dave, yeah, there could be some benefit to talking about it at least a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. If you
getting
feel
it
like
into the
this is
public.
something that is an issue for you, you definitely should speak to a professional about it. Maybe see if there's something that can be done because it definitely is something that's out there, and not everybody probably talks about it. So yeah,
I'm 100% against though if people create a cap on things, but then they put the ability to remove the cap behind a paywall.
yep,
I don't like that, and so I think that that's where a little bit of the criticism for the Mastery Pass having its cap came from, because you could buy levels,
and you still
and
can. It's still
people,
there.
yeah, and people said, where's the incentive to play the game to get
Yep.
the rewards if I can just buy my way through it? But Wizards listens. Well, I think they're listening a lot, at least
Oh,
recently,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
they'll put in fixes and problems that get solved. And it's, as of this recording, it's been out for what, a
Yep.
week?
6 days. Yeah, it's only just hit a week.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's very early days, so
and the game's still
it'd
in
be good to
beta,
see what they
right?
do with it.
So this is all
Yeah.
feedback, and obviously, if something doesn't work, they're in a position where they can still change things. And even when the game goes live, I would imagine that's something they're going to be able to do. So I wouldn't worry too much about it if it's not exactly where it should be at the moment. I'm sure there's plenty of places they can take it. So yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing. At the end of the day, this game is in beta.
yeah,
It looks gorgeous. It is very well put together for a game that is in beta. And Wizards is a big company, so you expect that they've built something nice, and it's existed for a while and all those counterpoints, but it is still at the end of the day a beta game. And then I
yep,
think they're doing a good job with it.
yeah. I think it's
All they need to do
getting
is
closer.
bring in modern.
Yeah, like bring in modern. Well, I mean that brings us to the next point. Is they did mention a historic format. So a big concern for a lot of people was what happens to my Ixalan, Dominaria, and Core 19 cards when the new set rotates in. And because there's a lot of new players to Arena who haven't played in Paper Magic and they haven't experienced rotation before. So in Paper Magic, this is generally fine because you can sell your cards, trade your cards, do whatever you want with them. But a lot of people, they play them in Modern. Unfortunately, on Arena, you can't do this because the card sets only go back to Ixalan. I believe they said they had the files for Armenket and Kaladesh because I did play some of that in the early days of the client when it was out. So those cards are definitely there, or at least the files for them are there.
I remember people talking to me about Torment of Hailfire and things
Yep.
like that in
In the
Arena's
early alpha,
days,
yeah, there was some pretty interesting decks because you only had you had just the Armenket block, and then Ixalan just started, so like vampires and pirates and all these tribal decks were floating around because we just got unclaimed territory. So it was really interesting. But yeah, so they're talking about this historic format. So it's a new non-competitive format. So you'll still be able to do casual queues and play your decks, but starting with Ixalan and moving forward to, as the sets come out, it's just going to be a non-rotating format like that. They did say that they were going to look at, say, adding Kaladesh and Armenket, but at this point, they didn't want to do it for the health of the format because those two sets had some pretty unappealing cards that you don't want to play against in the form of, say, like Hazaret and Aetherflux, not Wraitherflux Reservoir, Aetherworks Marvel. So yeah, I can understand the hesitation to want to add those into the format, though. Part of me's kind of like, I mean, just do it, right? Like, it's a casual format. It's non-rotating. People are meant to play standard. If they want to play this crazy combo-driven, super fast, aggressive format, I mean, kind of maybe just let them, right?
Yeah, this isn't the first time an extended, we'll call it, format has popped up after a standard rotation.
It's the first official one, though.
People really want to play with their old decks in standard and everything, and sometimes the sad reality is they don't always go into modern or legacy.
Yeah, right. Because the power level's just not always there because you've got so many years worth of cards to compete with.
Mm.
So, well, I mean, this is kind of interesting. Like, I like the idea. I mean, it's something I'm going to play probably a little bit, but being non-competitive, it's definitely going to take a backseat to other things. I don't know how much time I'd be willing to put into it. I hope at some point, if they do put it on here, it does become competitive.
You don't know how much time you put into it.
Yeah, like, what's the point of playing it? Like, that's my biggest concern is like, yeah, like we get to use our cards again, but do we? Like, if we can't enter queues and play ranked or anything with it, then I don't see the appeal or the want to do it. I just feel like then I just have a bunch of cards just sitting there that I can't do anything with. Like, yeah, I can still use them, but what's the point? But you've got to make it relevant. I think that's my biggest concern.
The queue timer forever.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like, if no one's playing it, you might just be stuck waiting for games for quite a while. So, I mean, these are legitimate concerns for this format. Like, why do I want to play it? Like, you know, I'm not convinced at this point from what they've said that it's something I really want to do. Like, I get the idea for it, but I don't know. It kind of feels a little bit bad.
Yeah, because like it feels like it would be quite easy to solve as well.
Yeah.
And it might just be making more work for themselves in that, you know, now we have to police a whole nother format when cards go into it and everything. And yeah, and if they just ignore it, then people stop playing and then it becomes a wasteland and then the format dies and they have to take it off Arena.
So I mean, look what happened to Brawl. Brawl was on there for a little bit, and was it Arena or maybe it was on Moto? I'm not 100% sure. It was on one of the online clients, I'm pretty sure, but it's now since then been taken down because no one played it. Like, it was they tried a thing, and unfortunately, the best part about Commander is that your cards are there forever. Your favorite cards you can play with forever, and that's awesome. Brawl was not that, and that's it sort of missed the point of why Commander was popular. So, but it was a thing they tried. Like, some people really liked it, some people really didn't like it, but I like at the end of the day that they're willing to show that they're trying to do new things and create new formats and give us more ways to play Magic. So on to M20 things though. So we're on Arena. I got to play on there early, so I did get to try out all the new features a whole day before everybody else, which was super nice. And like, it may sound like I'm having a go, but I'm actually super thankful for that. Like, thank you very much, Wizards. I had a great time. It's awesome to get my hands on a fully unlocked account to build and play around with, because boy, the creativity flies when you have everything. So,
yeah,
I built a couple of decks. I didn't get to play everything that I wanted to, just because timing.
Some wonderful things.
The first one that I played was a elemental deck, and so it was an Omnath elemental deck, and it took advantage of the Risen Reef. So I'd play elemental after elemental after elemental, putting tons of lands into play. And then I would play an Omnath Locus of the Royal after playing the card Sylvan Awakening, which turns all your lands into elementals. And yeah, I was just shooting opponents down for 20, 30 damage at a time. It was absolutely ridiculous what this deck was doing.
Risen Reef was ridiculous.
Risen Reef was the MVP. Like, that card put so much work in. And then Omnath himself just firing at the opponent for so much damage was absolutely ridiculous. This deck was a delight. I played a lot of games with that, and had pretty good success as well. Like, I was surprised with what it could do. In a casual format, of course. Like, it's definitely not a competitive deck by any stretch of the imagination, but oh boy, it was fun.
Give it time.
We'll see, because the core of the deck, I actually tried to build it kind of fair. I initially thought that with my first rendition of the deck that it would probably operate like a tribal deck with elemental synergies and bits and pieces here. Omnath was going to be like your curve topper, who's a guy that's also a removal spell, and then I just started shooting people for 20 and 30 damage, and it's like, all right, well, I guess this is what we're doing now. So but yeah, so the deck's pretty sweet. I've got the deck list up here.
Even little MVPs like the 1 mana 0/3 or whatever it is that gains you 3 life when it enters. What a house! That
guy put a lot of work in. All of those small elementals were pretty decent.
Best friends with Risen Reef.
Yep. Being able to play the Reef, like, that was the best part about the deck. Like, you play the Reef and then another elemental and get multiple triggers. And if you ever got 2 Reefs in play, oh my god, ridiculous.
It's like double Steamkin.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So yeah, that deck was a delight. I'm probably going to play around with a little bit more going forward, try to make a not so much a fairer version, but a more consistent mid-range style deck that still has potential for a big kill. I don't think cards like the Sylvan Awakening will feature in that list, as they are a little bit win more though.
It's very silly.
But hey, like, I just needed elementals. I had typed elemental into that search bar, and I found every single card that was or had anything to do with elementals, and we went from there. So Deck was sweet. Really enjoyed it. What else did I play? I played a Abzan Legends deck that was a little bit... I felt was like it was more of a fair deck, but it was a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, so I was in the chat when you were streaming that deck, and I pointed out that Primeval's Glorious Rebirth can be cast off what's his name? Kesson?
Oh, the Kethis. That was the Kethis. We'll get there eventually.
So you had a Kethith, and then you were able to cast some spells. Yeah. Kethith, is it?
It's Kethis.
S and then TH?
THIS, Kethis.
Kethis. Okay. All right. Kethis. Kethis. Anyway, yeah. So I made the observation that you can cast Primeval's Glorious Rebirth off of your Kethis.
From the graveyard.
Yeah, from the graveyard. Your graveyard that was filled with planeswalkers and big dumb legendary creatures.
Wasn't bad.
That was something that I really enjoyed about the streamer event, that you get those moments of, oh my goodness, I can do this thing.
Yep.
That you might not necessarily have when you're grinding your standard ladder with
you don't always just play with those cards as well.
Half tuned, yeah.
So just little interactions that you discover in this. Like I found some really cool stuff while playing in the event as well that meant that going forth now I can create some more interesting decks as well. Like the biggest takeaway from that was the interaction with Golgari Queen and the Oath of Kaya. Just having something to sack that's already done a job was really, really good. And then being able to use Kethis late game to cast the Oath of Kaya back out of the graveyard for 2 mana, just a really cool interaction. Whether it comes up later on, I don't know. Whether I'm going to build a deck that uses that, I don't know. But it's just nice to know that you can do that. So
it really felt like a pre-release because you're sitting around with your friends at a pre-release and you get your pool together. You have 2 cards sitting next to each other that
don't always go together.
You're forced to look for these kind of interactions because it's a pre-release and you only have so many cards that you play with. But then you find them and you get so excited.
Yeah, and you find something that's so ridiculous or just a cool synergy. And then, hey, sometimes that turns into a deck, like later down the line.
So we've talked about a bunch of modern things. We've talked about a bunch of standard things. Yep. Let's talk about a modern-focused card in the standard format.
Yep. So this is the other deck, yes.
Scapeshift.
So this is a little pet card of mine. I'll put that wherever I can. I play it in so many different decks, even when I shouldn't. I think with the last pre-release or the last early access that I had, I made a Scapeshift deck that used Proliferate to make a real big Hydro Krasis or a Simic Ascendancy really, really big and win the game off that. So
that was so dumb.
And it was amazing. So when I saw
as in like I loved it.
So when I saw Field of the Dead, all my Christmases had come during M20 early access. And so I created this deck. I've seen a fair few out there now. And this was one of the ones that I didn't get to play during the early access, but I have been playing a fair bit recently on my stream, is a Field of the Dead Scapeshift deck. So it's Bant colors, uses Teferi to let you have an instant speed Scapeshift. At the end of your turn, when they can't, at the end of their turn when they can't interact, cast your Scapeshift off your Teferi's plus tick ability and go find the field. Go find 7 different lands, depending on the amount of lands you have, and then just put a ton of zombies into play. They can't interact because of Teferi, and then you untap and kill them. And this deck is an absolute delight. I've been playing this mainly on my stream on ladder, and oh boy, it's been so much fun.
Yeah, it looks absolutely insane, and I hate Bant as a color scheme, like to play in Magic.
Yep.
I can't stand Bant.
It's one of my favorites. All the good colors. You get good green creatures and you get good blue spells, and then white's the best support color. It's perfect. Mm-hmm. So that's the deck list. We're looking at it now. Pretty straightforward stuff. Like you've got you got card selection using Opt, Teferi. Obviously draws you cards as well. Securus Route and Grow from the Ashes are your ramp spells. You've got Time Wipe, Cleansing Nova, Settle the Wreckage, and Seal Away to remove things, and 4 copies of my favorite counterspell in standard, Quench. Allows you to play a tap land on 3, but still have access to counter magic. Nobody plays around it. And then, the combo pieces are Teferi.
Mana Leak.
Mana Leak. Yeah, well, it's just Mana Leak, right? So that's the deck. but nobody respects it. Like quench is fantastic. The amount of things I've been quenching, and people just sit there like it's just there with the quench on the stack. They're just like reading it, rereading it. So yeah, quench is very good.
I've only got one mana.
Yeah. So you do just counter whatever you can with that card. Like, I'm not picky. Like, if I've held up 2 mana for a quench, I just use it because you never know when you're going to get to use that card again. But yeah, it's been pretty relevant. So I don't think I'd cut it for anything else. At the moment, I've got 2 copies of Dovin, 2 copies of Teo. I definitely think I'm just going to go straight for the 4 copies of Dovin. It's just really, really good at slowing down the aggressive decks, especially if they only play 1 threat, because you can obviously negate that 1 threat over and over again. But against some of the more mid-range and control decks as well, just making their stuff cost more is pretty relevant. So I like that card a lot at the moment with this deck, at least. So
yeah, I think Dovin's a fantastic hoser for aggro decks. With the bubble, you make the burn spells cost more, like the greedy Steamkin decks that aim to hit a certain amount of mana for their frenzy into. Now I've got the 3 mana on the Steamkin, and now I'm going to cast a 1 mana spell, a 1 mana spell, and a 1 mana spell. They're not doing any of that.
No, they're casting 1 spell, and now they can't hit me with the Steamkin.
I hate it. So something I want to comment on for Arena.
Yep.
This for a 3-color deck, this seems to really be lacking on rare lands for a 3-color deck.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it does run a few less because of that wording on Field of the Dead. Well, it definitely wasn't a rare wild card consideration when building it. It was more so trying to have lots of lands with different names. I feel like I could probably tweak it a little bit and have some more relevant cards in there. Run a few more basics. At the moment, it's operating pretty well. I'm really liking having the gain lands in there as well, because that's just a little bit more life that a lot of the aggro decks aren't expecting to have to fight through. And it's, if I start on 23, then that's a whole nother burn spell out of the red deck that they've got to throw at me. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying the ridiculous.
It's a great addition against burn as well.
Yeah, Teo seems like it'd be quite good out of the sideboard. So I was testing the cards that I wanted to play in the deck for best of 1. So I've got more teched options in there, but definitely going into, when I hit back into gold, I haven't played for a while, so I fell all the way down to bronze. But yeah, going back into gold and starting to play best of 3 again, I'm definitely going to put together a sideboard for this, whether it includes Teo or Leyline of Sanctity. Not 100% sure, but we'll see. So this is the deck that I've been playing a fair bit of on my stream. I'm going to be playing this up until I can't play Scapeshift in Standard anymore, in which, then maybe this will be the card that drives me to Historic so I can keep casting Scapeshifts. But I mean, we'll wait and see. We'll see what they do with that again. Like I said, hopefully they make the format worth playing. But yeah, for now, this is the deck that I'm going to be jamming for quite a while, up until I can't do it anymore.
I must say, as much as I hate Bant, the deck just looks so fun. And I've looked for Scapeshift interactions, like the modern Scapeshift style of interaction in other formats, where you find a thing and then that triggers off something entering, and then you play something that makes a bunch of those things enter. You just go bonkers.
This is just that. Just that and then some.
Yeah, it does it all, and you get to play the Fairy Time Raveler, and your opponent can't do anything about it. And
all the best cards in Standard. I love it. Absolutely love it.
It looks very good. Do you think by next week we can do another one of these deck techs and show off a best of 3 version?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have it all ready by then. I am going to get a video up on my YouTube channel as well. So with games and deck tech, so to speak, a more in-depth one at least of how the deck actually works. And hopefully for that video, I'll have the sideboarded version ready to go as well. So that's at least the plan. But yeah, I do want to try to have a deck like this every week that we can sort of feature and have a look at. It doesn't have to be the most competitive deck. So by all means, if
it doesn't have to be competitive.
Not at all.
I'm in.
Yeah, as long as it's Standard, we can play it on Arena. That's all I'm asking. So like, if anybody watching has an idea for a deck or has a brew that you're trying to get right, you're not 100% sure on or whatever, feel free to link it in the comments below. We'll take a look, and if it sounds like something interesting, I'll definitely throw it together and we can do a little deck tech and play some games with it. So
I'll be 100% behind it if it's got Chandra Spitfire.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I mean, I said it didn't have to be competitive, so right up that alley.
Oh, put your shade in it as well, you stupid little shade.
So we're having a challenge. So obviously the Fenlurker won the poll, which very happy about. Good job, Fenlurker. But we are going to put 2 decks together and play them out next week. So I will be building a Fenlurker deck. Not sure what I'm going to do with it, but it will have 4 copies of the card in it. And Chaoski's going to build a, what was it called again? Firecat? I can't remember what it was called.
Chandra's
A Spitfire. Yeah, so he'll be playing a Spitfire deck, or a deck that features 4 Spitfires. And we'll see who the true victor really is. So I'm so looking forward to this.
I am too, because I've been thinking of things. I'm like, yeah, I'll get him with that. Oh, that'll get him. And at the same time, I'm going, yeah, but what if he gets me?
Yeah. It's always that little worry, right?
Me?
I mean, I've already started advantage because I just get 4 better cards for my deck. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll have those games in next week's podcast as well. So look out for that.
How you play them.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. A bit of a short one coming back into it. I've just had a lot on and I've had to make a lot of other videos. So there's content out there. Please check the YouTube channel. Please check me out on Twitch. Make sure you're always watching those things. I've got some giveaways coming up on Twitch as well, which is kind of sweet. 20 subscribers is the goal, new subscribers. And I've got a bunch of pre-release kits from M20 that I'm going to be giving out to subscribers on Twitch at the end of this month. So yeah, another reason to get on there and give me a follow, give me a sub, give me a watch. Yeah.
Get subbed.
Yep, that's
educated.
Get educated. But yeah, so that's always going on Twitch. So please check me out over at Deathrite Squid on Twitch, and definitely check out the YouTube videos as well. David, did you have anything else that you wanted to go over before we're done?
Nothing except for Go Team Spitfire, really.
All right, so thanks again for watching, guys. And David, anything else? Where can they find us?
So we've got YouTube, Deathrite Squid on YouTube.
Yep.
We've got Twitch at Deathrite Squid. Twitter, I think, is also at Deathrite Squid.
And you're at Chaoski MTG, right? We fixed that this time. Chaoski MTG.
I've done the thing, and
Cool.
I've got the Twitters, and I'm going to share all sorts of opinions about Standard and silly brews and
Love it.
all
Deck
sorts
list,
of fun.
screenshots, all the good stuff, right?
All the good stuff.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll catch you in the next video. All right, one sec. Hang on.
And you get to sit.
Do 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 do.
We could just do that for the opening and closing music. Just the two of us going Magic the Gathering.